WWE Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia is upon us, and it's going to be dropped on Saturday, June the 27th, in a jam-packed weekend of professional wrestling. I think you got NXT earlier in the day, you've got TNA going on, and then you've got AEW Forbidden Door, and I'm sure there's going to be some other wrestling sprinkled in there. So you're going to have more than enough professional wrestling to keep you busy this weekend. So I'm going to be breaking down Night of Champions like a shotgun, predicting the outcomes for the matches that we have listed. A lot of people are wondering about this match card and how some believe that it is not the most exciting match card. I actually think it's probably one of the most unpredictable Night of Champion match cards that I've seen in a while for any WWE PLE, really. The disparity there, there's a very polarizing card where anybody could come out victorious in some of these matches. And as you see, as I break it on down like a shotgun, it really truly is unpredictable. We're going to start on the predictions with Tiffany Stratton defending her WWE United States Championship, Women's United States Championship against Jade Cargill. I believe this match was a pivot from the potential Jade Cargill-Rhea Ripley rematch from WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley had suffered an injury. She probably wasn't going to be cleared in enough time, so they decided to pivot and go with Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton here. Jade coming off a loss to Rhea at WrestleMania. I question whether they would have Tiffany win this match or if they would give Jade the win here. Now, Jade is in the process of feuding with Charlotte Flair. That seems to be the trajectory for Jade Cargill going to SummerSlam. Inevitably, we'll more than likely get Jade against Charlotte. Now, would that be for the Women's United States Championship, or are they going to just go for a grudge match or a top contenders match? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can go if you're going to go for a match like that, of that caliber at SummerSlam. When I look at Tiffany Stratton, it seems that her momentum stalled quite a bit. It could have been due to injury. It could have been due to a number of different factors. But now she's just starting to get the ball rolling again. There is a variety of different challengers that are awaiting her in her reign. With Jade and her group with Mia Yim and I almost said Cardi B-Fab, there is a lot of momentum there. There's also another group that's floating around called Fatal Influence, and led by JC Jane, and they're swimming around a feud with Tiffany Stratton. They're also feuding with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and they're getting their hands in a lot of different, they're getting irons in a lot of different furnaces on WWE programming coming out of NXT. So they're starting off hot here, making sure that they have tons of people at their arsenal to feud with. When I look at this match as a whole, it's probably going to be a banger, because the last couple matches that Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill have had have been just that. Short, sweet, to the point, a banger. As far as the outcome, my prediction is that Tiffany Stratton is going to be victorious here, and the reason being is I believe Charlotte Flair is going to play a factor here. I can imagine this is going to be overbooked to be damned. There's going to be a lot of interference, a lot of people trying to distract the opponents in the ring. I think Tiffany Stratton has more to gain as the United States Championship. I think she still is trying to get her momentum back, and I think it's important that she continue on with her United States reign. And I also look at Jade Cargill and how she really doesn't need the United States Championship. She was just going after the Women's World Championship, which she can still go after at some point. Her feud with Charlotte Flair can then intensify from there, and then that can get us to SummerSlam with Charlotte costing Jade the match. Now you've got more ammunition for the feud to get kicked up a couple of notches. And then, of course, you have Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They could be going for the tag titles on SmackDown. Jade Cargill cost them the championships, and now you've got the ball rolling, and you've got a lot of material to go off of here. And SummerSlam is going to come at us really quick, okay? I know it seems like it's quite a long ways away, but like I said, if you implement Charlotte and Alexa going after the tag titles, and then you have B-Fab and Mia Yim getting involved, and You've got maybe Charlotte going for the world championship and getting Jade to cost her the match. I mean, there's so many different routes that you can go. You got like more than enough time to do 6 or 7 or even 8 weeks of a feud here, 6, 7. So there's a lot there that you can go to get to that point. So my prediction is that Tiffany Stratton is victorious, but I think that they're going to give the excuse for Jade Cargill in the fact that she was cost the match due to interference from Charlotte Flair, who interfered in a couple of Jade's matches already, if you remember previously on WWE programming. So I've got Tiffany Stratton coming out victorious there. In a steel cage match, Braun Breaker goes against Seth Rollins. This is, I don't know if this is going to be the end of their feud, but usually when you have a steel cage match, it is typically to put a cap on the feud, or at least conclude this chapter in their grudge rivalry that they've been having ever since Seth Rollins left the Vision. Looking at wrestling math here, Seth Rollins cost Braun Breaker an opportunity to retain the tag team championships, with Austin Theory giving the win to Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits, on Raw. That leads me to believe that Braun Breaker is more than likely going to get the win here. I would keep your eyes on Bronson Reed maybe making a potential return here and helping Braun Breaker to defeat Seth Rollins. I think Street Profits could get involved as well. Steel cage matches typically keep a lot of interference from happening, but in steel cage matches in the WWE, all bets are off. Austin Theory, Logan Paul, maybe even KS1, maybe even IShowSpeed. I can see them all getting involved here. But I do have Braun Breaker coming out victorious. It's really important to continue the momentum for Braun Breaker because Braun Breaker is the future of the WWE. You want to establish him as someone that could potentially be a main eventer and also give the momentum to the Vision, who have been stifled with injuries and have essentially been cursed. You want to keep their momentum up and keep them as viable opponents for championship gold. And Seth losing here is not the end of the world. I know a lot of people are expecting to see Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. They can always go that route. Even if Seth loses, there's always an opportunity, a top contenders match. There's a lot of different ways that they can go about getting to that point if that's where they're going. But I really don't think Seth is done with the Vision just yet. I think there's still more to that. And I think if you bring Bronson Reed back, now you've got Seth against Bronson Reed. They've got a lot of history, and I don't think they really ever solved their issues between each other. And Braun Breaker getting that win, it only continues his momentum up to the top of the card. Braun Breaker should be considered a main eventer by the end of the year. You should be expecting Braun Breaker to win Royal Rumbles. You should be expecting Braun Breaker to walk away with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And in order to really do that, where we believe that it's his time, he's got to get a win over Seth Rollins. And I think this steel cage match is going to be just that opportunity for Braun Breaker. In a triple threat match for the WWE Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes defends against Gunther and Sami Zayn. I quite like the way that they've been building this up, although I know that's not a popular opinion. I quite enjoy this build. Sami Zayn being the last hero, the last action hero, word to Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you guys remember that movie, I'm a wrestling old head, but I'm also an entertainment old head, so I do remember that movie. Sami Zayn being delusional and thinking that he is still a hero. He's going to be going in Saudi Arabia where he is that. He is heralded as a hero out there. He is probably going to get a huge pop upon arrival out there. He comes out to his good guy music. I think the crowd is going to be in favor of Sami Zayn here. The rumor for a while there was that Sami Zayn was going to win a world championship in Saudi Arabia. Well, what time that is better than Night of Champions? I don't foresee them holding off to give Sami Zayn that run by WrestleMania 43 for a number of different reasons, but for one of the main reasons is that I think by that time, Sami Zayn will already be on a full heel turn, a bad guy mode, bad guy season for Sami Zayn. With Gunther, as I've stated in other videos, I think his momentum has stifled because of several pivots, whether they were planning to go a couple of different routes and injuries got in the way and they had to just shuffle things around. Whatever the reason, Gunther is not the Gunther that I thought he would be after retiring Bill Goldberg, AJ Styles, and John Cena in succession the way that he did. for that very reason, I just don't see them giving him an opportunity to be the world champion just yet. I think there still is an opportunity for them to reset and reshuffle for Gunther to be considered serious, maybe even snapping. Like, I always look at Gunther as that classic professional wrestler. He doesn't really even need a story, you know. To borrow a tagline from Taz when he was in ECW, he doesn't need a weapon because his hands are his weapons. And I think if they can do that with Gunther and reestablish that for him, I think a world championship run is definitely in his future. I just don't think the time is right now for that. I think they need to give him an opportunity to truly snap. And I think, honestly, if you go back to look at Bob Backlund in the early to mid 90s in the WWF, when he came out and he had finally snapped. He started using the crossface chicken wing, and he was putting it on journalists, and then he started putting it on wrestlers and refusing to let go. That's something that I would be really intrigued to see for Gunther here, is if he started to implement a submission hold and really give you crazy eyes while he does it. You know, he typically uses the power bomb as his finishing maneuver, but he also uses that choke out. And I think if he were to put that on and refuse to let it go, possibly putting it on Nick Aldis, for instance, really fully snapping, I think that's an interesting character arc for him that they can do. But it only happens if he comes out unsuccessful here. Cody Rhodes is a hero through and through, but he's also really good at being the face in peril. He's really good at fighting from the bottom and climbing back to the top. And I think if Sami Zayn were to secure the world championship in this scenario, I think it gives Cody Rhodes a lot of ammunition to go after Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn has a couple of opponents that he can have around him in this regard. Drew McIntyre is waiting to come back. Drew McIntyre can come back a hero. He can come back a fan favorite. You've also got Randy Orton, who it seemed like on his way out before he got injured that the crowd was starting to get back in favor of him. I don't even think they really stopped liking Randy Orton necessarily. I just think that whole feud that he had with Cody Rhodes could have been done a lot better. So you can always bring Randy Orton back as a hero. I think, and of course you've got the matches with Cody Rhodes right there. I've got Sami Zayn coming out victorious here. I know that's probably a wild, out of the blue, like pretty gutsy call there, but I think that Sami Zayn winning in Saudi Arabia, getting cheered, and then coming back to the United States wondering why he's getting booed is a fantastic trajectory for his story, and I think it presents a lot of different options going into SummerSlam. So I've got Sami Zayn coming out victorious. I know it's going to be a shocker for sure, but I think there's a couple of ways that they can make that happen, and I think it works for the story of Sami Zayn. So I got Sami Zayn coming out victorious here. We've also got the WWE Men's United States Championship on the line. Trick Williams against Ricky Saints. Trick Williams has kind of been absent a lot on television, or at least I haven't been able to see him a lot on television. Maybe he was there and I missed him. But Ricky Saints is going to be his opponent. They've got some history going back to NXT. Ricky Saints, I quite like Ricky Saints, and I know that there's a lot of polarizing opinions of Ricky Saints. Is he ready? Is he the type of guy that you would really want to give the ball to? He's been putting on some bangers with Carmelo Hayes. You've got Ilya Dragunov that's still swimming around that could come back. Finn Balor is now on the SmackDown side of the game and could be considered in the United States title picture. Tama Tonga, Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that could be in the United States title picture. I don't think this Trick Williams run is over quite yet. And I think the United States Championship, it looks good around him. And so I've got Trick Williams coming out on top here. I think you can potentially get some interference from Carmelo Hayes, although I don't believe that's necessary. And I think that you can get a lot out of Carmelo Hayes, Ricky Saints, and Trick Williams trading the United States Championship or trading singles matches or triple threat matches going into SummerSlam. Add in Ilya Dragunov, and you've got some great matches ahead of you. I got Trick Williams coming out on top here. I think that you can also bring Carmelo Hayes into the picture afterwards, and you can still keep Ricky Saints around by attacking Carmelo Hayes. Number of different ways that you can go. I really wish they would have done like a couple of promo battles with Trick Williams and Ricky Saints. I think those would have been really fantastic, because I think one of the strong suits for Ricky Saints is his ability to cut a promo, especially off the cuff, you know, without a script necessarily, maybe bullet points. I think he's really dynamic on the microphone. So I was upset. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get that. And maybe we can still get that by SmackDown on Friday, but I'm not sure. So in any event, I've got Trick Williams coming out victorious here, but I don't think that's the end of an opportunity for Ricky Saints. I just think that that's it's good to keep that momentum going for Trick Williams. So I've got Trick Williams coming out on top there. Io Sky for the Queen of the Ring tournament final will be battling Liv Morgan, who is the Raw Women's World Champion. This is very interesting to me. I can imagine that injuries more than likely played a factor in getting Liv Morgan up to this point, but I don't doubt that there's a story there for Liv Morgan to be in this King of the Ring tournament. If she were to win, just theoretically, then she would be able to essentially challenge Rhea Ripley. But you got to remember, if they're going to be doing Crown Jewel after SummerSlam, then the Raw Women's World Champion and the SmackDown Women's Champion would be competing in Crown Jewel. That's typically that's what they do for Crown Jewel. It's usually like a brand war, so you can always go that route later on. I don't think you would necessarily need to do that for, like, let's say SummerSlam. And if you were, then a lot of people would wonder why they're not doing champion versus champion, or maybe even a title unification type of a scenario. So I've got Io Sky becoming the Queen of the Sky and winning this match, and then possibly challenging Rhea Ripley for SummerSlam. I think that would be a phenomenal match. The story is already there. Best friends turned bitter rivals, or even just rivals out of respect, a matter of respect, if you will. Remember, Rhea Ripley has not gotten a singles win over Io Sky. That is the story that they have been telling. And I think that Rhea Ripley getting that win over Io Sky and them still remaining friends, or maybe Io just being a little disappointed, maybe just walking away out of frustration. I mean, you got to remember, she lost Asuka, she lost Kairi Sane. She's, all of her friends have left, and now she's having to battle another friend and loses to her friend. I think can be a really nice trajectory storyline-wise for Io Sky. So I think that what you've got here is a potential to do far more with Io Sky as a winner, rather than Liv Morgan winning and then having to worry about possible unification matches down the line, which I don't believe that they're ever going to do anyways. And Liv Morgan has not been very fair to Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, so I would also look for them to potentially get involved and maybe even cost Liv Morgan that opportunity to win the Queen of the Ring. So I would pay attention to that, because you can also do Roxanne against Liv Morgan at SummerSlam, Raquel against Liv Morgan later down the line. You can also revisit Io Sky and Liv Morgan at SummerSlam as well. So a lot of different routes that you can go. That's why ultimately I have Io Sky winning, because I think there's far more that can be done with her as the Queen of the Ring. And finally, last but not least, Jey Uso against Obafemi in the men's King of the Ring qualifier. What an polarizing match this is. A lot of people are predicting for Jey Uso. They're saying it's almost like it's a foregone conclusion here, because a lot of people feel like it's too soon for Obafemi. A lot of people expect Brock Lesnar to get involved here and potentially cost Obafemi the match. I think logically it doesn't make sense for Brock Lesnar to show up in Saudi Arabia and cost Obafemi the match. And let me explain why. If you haven't watched the video that I posted where I talked about is Obafemi ready to win the World Championship, in the video I go on to explain that Brock has already gotten his revenge on Oba by beating him. He won. He got his revenge. The series is tied 1-1. There is essentially no reason for Brock Lesnar to come out of hiding to cost Obafemi the match just because Oba called him a bitch. There's no reason. I think there's far more interest from Brock to come back if Oba has a bargaining chip. That bargaining chip would be the World Heavyweight Championship, or maybe it would be to cost Oba the World Heavyweight Championship when he goes against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I think there is more in that than there is for him to just cost him the King of the Ring. So I have Obafemi winning here. I think it's the right thing to do. The WWE needs an injection of some youth, of some young blood in the main event scene. Something different than what we've been getting with the likes of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Vision and The Bloodline and Drew McIntyre and Gunther and all of these guys that have been swimming around, Seth Rollins, that have been swimming around the main event scene for a long time. You need someone new and young where you can get 15 years out of them, and you look no further than Obafemi. He is ready. There is not a better time than right now. If you risk waiting and holding off, then you've got injuries to worry about. You've got maybe a potential final boss that would return and try and get a main event at the Saudi Mania at WrestleMania 43. So you really would be wise to give Oba this opportunity now while he's hot, while the momentum is there. He's coming off this feud with Brock Lesnar. There's still that opportunity to have that tiebreaker. I think the time is now for Obafemi. So I've got Obafemi coming out victorious, but I would love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the predictions, what your predictions for Night of Champions are, and if you feel like Obafemi is going to walk away victorious, or if you think it's going to be King Yeet season. Let me know down in the comment section below, you guys. Thanks for listening, and if you like these videos and more, you know what to do. Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll see you in the next one.